doesn't have recliner seats, and I'm just too spoiled. I need my
Ah,
recliners.
yeah,
I need those
absolutely.
recliners nowadays at my age. You know,
Yep.
once you get into it's hard to not like it. Um, but the screens are big. They're great screens. It's just I like the reclining of it.
Two more phone calls in total. The next one was just breathing into the phone. Kind of freaked me out a bit. Continued to not sleep. That was probably about an hour later. And then the final phone call came in, and a very ominous voice said, "Still watching." Now,
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of Banter on the Rocks. First order of business, we of course wanted to discuss our brand ambassadorship. We are brand ambassadors for Find the Good brand, and Find the Good is focused on the good and building a community of people who want to help find the good. For all purchases, Find the Good gives back 10% to Mental Health of America organization. And when you order, use our promo code Banter805 and you'll receive 10% off your purchase. So that's 10% for you and 10% back to mental health. Remember to use Banter805 for that 10% off. And the mission for Find the Good is simple. Find the Good is here to get you through the bad days, the breakups, the ups and downs, and whatever else stands between you and a smile on your face. Today is Monday, July 21st, zooming through this month of July. And on today's show, we will discuss, of course, our banter takes. Then we'll move into some NBA and WNBA talk. And we might have a list mixed in here for you in regards to sports and, of course, much, much more. Now, we will jump into our banter drinks of the week. And for mine, much like John has done a couple of times now, I have recorded, pre-recorded, my cocktail concoction of the
Nice.
evening. So I
Nice.
will play that over the microphone now for John. So let him go ahead and listen in on. Hopefully this isn't too loud. All right, what's up, y'all? Tonight we are going to be making for my banter drink of the week. We're doing a Mai Tai, classic Mai Tai here. Have everything laid out. I've already put a half ounce of lime juice in the glass, as well as a quarter ounce of the orgeat syrup, which I found there at Total Wine. I already have I believe, a half ounce of orange liqueur poured into this shot glass. We have some Largo Bay silver rum to use as the light color rum. And then we have our dark rum here, these are each 1 ounce shots here of the light and dark to mix in. And I am going to begin pouring them all in here for a little combo. Orange liqueur, mixed up silver rum. Got the Hard Rock Tijuana shot, love it. And then we're just going real generic with this last one. Mix it in there. And then with this, you can add things like simple syrup to it, cherries, you name it for garnish, mint, stuff like that. But I'm going to keep mine, kind of simple. I might do a splash of pineapple juice in it, to be honest, because that's looking kind of like a glorified shot in a way. But anywho, I'm going to start stirring it up here, mix it into the ice. All of this kind of takes me back to a moment when I was about 9 years old and I was at home. Parents were away, I believe anniversary trip, and I was home with my sister and my cousin who was babysitting for the weekend. And around midnight, 12:30, I'd say in the morning, I was asleep. I noticed my cousin and sister outside my bedroom talking, and I was like, I was kind of light sleeper, still am. Woke up, kind of asked them, hey, what's going on? Why are you guys awake right now? And they told me that somebody had called our house and just briefly said into the phone, I'm watching you. Now, obviously freaked me out.
We lived on a hillside surrounded by woods, lots of places this person could be hiding. You know, kind of seemed like a movie set, and this is 100% legit. After that, I believe we received two more phone calls in total. The next one was just breathing into the phone. Kind of freaked me out a bit. Continued to not sleep. That was probably about an hour later. And then the final phone call came in, and a very ominous voice said, "Still watching." Now, didn't sleep the whole night. Had a baseball game the next morning. Safe to say we did not stay in the house the next night. Went out to my cousin's house instead. Really freaked me out. Still think about that story to this day. Looks like that's all stirred up very nicely there. And ready to enjoy this Mai Tai.
And that's
Nice.
it for you, John. And
Nice.
I did end up adding that pineapple juice in.
Nice. Looks good. Looks good. Sounded like a scary movie right there. You know,
Oh, very much so.
a cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, like I said, still thinking about that. Sorry, apologize to the audience. Didn't realize till after how obnoxiously loud my ice stirring is. Um, but hopefully the scary story got through.
Mhm.
100% legit. Yeah, no, that one freaked me out. That
Yeah.
was creepy.
Was that the last time you guys got those phone calls ever?
It was. We
Yeah.
never figured out who did it. Um, and why, the creepy part is it seemed timed
Yeah.
with my parents going out of town. So
Hmm.
somebody knew what was up, somebody was watching in.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, surrounded by woods, not a lot
Yeah.
of lighting up on that hill. A little
Yeah.
scary, a little
I,
scary.
I can imagine. I wouldn't go back home either.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was
Nice.
an adventure. But yep,
Yeah.
no, that was it. Never
Uh,
again.
good story, good drink. Today I'm just sticking to something simple, orange juice and tequila, so a tequila screwdriver.
There it
Didn't
is.
have too much time and decided to go a little bit more plain today. So, um, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Delicious though, delicious. It was a little cool out here, SoCal, a little bit of drizzleness in the morning, but warming up again.
Yeah, no, that's literally us. I don't think we're breaking
Hmm.
70 right now. It's
No,
it's foggy, drizzling. Uh, kind of nice though. Not
it
gonna
is.
lie.
It
It's a good
is.
break.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. But awesome. Yeah, that's our drinks of the week. And next, we're gonna do this new segment every now and then. We call it Catch a Banter Vibe. And what Catch a Banter Vibe, something Tim came up with or wanted to bring to the show is, we listen to a lot of music. We're traveling a lot at work. I think we're both probably listening to music to help us get through the day. And every now and then there's either these new songs that come out, new bangers and even some classic ones that are, a blast from the past. So every week we're gonna share, or every now and then we'll share one of our Catcha Banter Vibes songs, and sort of just jam out for a few seconds, listen to the beat, get us pumped for the rest of the show. And we'll start with Tim's choice, and then after, I'll let Tim share how he got into the song or how it came up.
Get
Um,
a little loose, get a little
yeah,
loose, you
get a
know?
little loose. So we'll start it. In a world where copyright laws exist, we're legally banned from playing this banger. But imagine it's playing right now. Go on, vibe. So that's a good one.
Gotta
Huh?
love
Jay,
Bieber.
gotta love Bieber. Yeah.
That's it.
No, yeah, good song, good song. For I would say second time I've heard it.
Okay.
Uh, and there's rumors. These are rumors I've read. Justin Bieber might be headlining Coachella this year.
Oh,
That's a
good timing
rumor.
for tour and album.
Yeah.
Swag. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
this whole album, is really pretty good.
mhm.
Yukon, supposedly Eminem wrote that for Bieber.
Okay.
Rumors, I don't know if that's confirmed.
Yeah.
But there's a handful of songs on here that, I've really enjoyed, but the album altogether has done really well. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's a banger. That's a good one. Well, one of the newer songs that are out there. So if you guys haven't heard it,
Yep.
Daisies by Justin Bieber. Those listening on YouTube, TikTok, or not TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We aren't going to be playing the songs just for copyright, reasons, but we will put, what the song is so you guys know, download it, see what we're jamming to. TikTok, you guys are gonna see some of these videos with the music on it, so enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, but here's my song. It's not a new banger, it's an old one, and it's one I always
Love it.
enjoyed listening to, so let's see if you could catch onto it. In a world where copyright laws exist, we're legally banned from playing this banger. But imagine it's playing right now. Go on, vibe. So yeah,
So
that's the
good.
song I've been listening to this last week. Lupe Fiasco, Kick Push. It just came up. I was just playing random music in the car one day, and this song just came up after not hearing it for so long.
Isn't that great when that happens? It's
Hmm.
like, before, a lot of us don't really listen to Pandora quite as much,
Yeah.
but it seemed like Pandora read your mind back in the day. And,
Yeah.
sometimes you just needed that throwback banger and
Yep.
just, that kick, push,
Yeah.
coast. It's
Yeah. It,
such a
it
good song.
it's such a good song. I feel like it's a good summer song too, just because that's what you're doing in the summer. Skating.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
remember as a kiddo, or not as a young kid, but with the guys in high school, skating.
Hmm.
Could maybe do an ollie. I think I landed a kickflip just once. A little bit of grinding here and there, but after that, twisted my ankle. And then I decided to quit because I preferred soccer. So I was like, I'm done.
Smart
Uh,
move.
uh,
Smart move. Yeah, no, I could never skateboard. I was never that good. But I loved the Razor scooters, and I
oh,
went through probably like five of them because I would always break down my hill like real
yeah.
heavy, and it would burn out that back wheel.
Yeah.
But skinned my leg up real bad one day. Took it a little too fast down the hill, and then that's pretty much when I called it quits for the scooter.
Yeah.
But kind of do miss, getting hit in the shin by those
Hmm.
Razor
Oh
scooters.
yeah.
It's
Those are the most painful injuries ever.
they were the worst.
Even if it wasn't that hard, it was just like it was like you got stabbed.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the sharpest pain you've ever felt in your
Yeah.
life. It's the
Yeah.
worst.
Oh yeah, but that's my catch a banter vibe for the week. Lupe Fiasco. It was good. But yeah,
Love
let
it.
us know what you guys are listening to this week. A new hit, some classics that you haven't heard in a while that just came up and you're just rocking it now. There's always quite a few. So, but yeah, that's one of our new segments we'll do every now and then. We enjoy listening to music when something catches our ear. We'll do that, but we'll go into our banter takes and we're also gonna go into our live as always. So we're booting up our lives on TikTok.
I need to bend the bill of this hat. This is
Uh,
just took the stickers off this Dolphins
And
hat. Like
mine
the
every
vibe.
now and then, it's like I need to just it just goes back to straight if I don't wear it too much.
Yeah, I have that same problem. I my best thing I do, which typically lately I haven't had enough time to really focus on it, but
Yeah.
I like taking like a mug or like a, more like a
Hmm.
thermos mug,
Yeah.
wrapping it with rubber bands, putting a steamer on it,
Yep.
does the trick.
No, yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're on TikTok Live, so we'll go into our banter takes. Our banter takes are takes that we share with each other. We don't know about these takes prior to today's show recording. And we're gonna roll with them for the entire year until they get proven right, wrong. or we, you know, we're what else? Right, wrong. Um, just want till it's fun not to do it anymore. Um,
It'll always be fun.
it'll always be fun though. So my first take that Tim sent me, um, and Tim's on a roll with this theme. So MLB All-Star, or no, the Chargers will finish with a better record than the Chiefs, and Justin Herbert will finally get MVP votes, while Mahomes faces his first real regression. It's my take. Chargers are going to have a better record than the Chiefs. Chargers are a sneaky good team this year and every year, but I think after 1 year with Coach Harbaugh, I think there's a lot they could do. Harbaugh is the type of coach that I think could get Justin Herbert over that hurdle of what he's been struggling with. And, they have a pretty complete team. I think there's some question marks, but I don't think they're going to use those question marks. Quentin Johnson, that guy's not going to be a factor. I think they're seeing him in practice dropping the ball, so he might be cut, by the beginning of the season. And seeing Harbaugh's little meme today, how he's sort of sneaking in those views of practice, it means, that there's something special going on there. And we've talked about it, not just here, but on TikTok. If you follow some of our TikTok videos, some of our skits, our Chiefs fans are probably not a big fan of our show or of our takes. But we really feel, I want to say we both feel strongly about this. You could say otherwise, Tim, because this is my take. But Chiefs are on that regression. I think how they lost this Super Bowl, it was a wake-up call that they've had a pretty easy road to just get into the playoffs. The AFC, their division hasn't been that great, and now these teams are gonna get better. Denver's gonna get better. Bo Nix, he looks like he could be a great quarterback. Now, I'm not gonna say superstar, but a great quarterback that could take that team somewhere. And then Oakland Raiders, you get Pete Carroll, you got to put him into the conversation. Pete Carroll took the Seahawks to the Super Bowl with one of the shorter quarterbacks, so he could do a lot. So, and honestly, other than Travis Kelce, who's I think on the down way of his game, there isn't much more. Hollywood Brown, trash player. Don't be talking to me about Hollywood Brown as a elite player. Rashee Rice coming off an injury. I like Rashee Rice because he was winning us a lot of games in fantasy football last year. We picked him up. Great pickup before Patrick Mahomes, his own teammate, took him out for the year. So he's coming back from an injury, and guy just got convicted. So he might not miss too many games, but that's going to take an effect on him having to go to jail knowing you're guilty. So I think they're just going to struggle. And then the other thing I read, and I don't know if you read this, Tim, or other people have seen it, but there were three zebras that have been fired from the NFL, and they were really connected to the Chiefs winning
Hmm.
playoff games. That shows NFL's denying that they got fired because of this collusion to help the Chiefs, but rumor has it that's why they got let go because they were helping. So without the zebras on your side, we'll see what happens. So I'm really going to follow with this take. The Chargers will finish with a better record, and I think Justin Herbert could finally win some MVP votes, and maybe MVP if that team does well.
Yeah, you nailed it. Brought up some great points there, John. The whole division is a whole lot better. It almost seems like it's just all of a sudden all these, really well-known great coaches are all of a
Hmm.
sudden all in the AFC West.
Yes.
Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and then, obviously still Andy Reid's great. And then
Hmm.
you have Pete Carroll joining the Raiders. Like
Yeah.
it's just above and beyond talent at that coaching leadership position. But
Yeah.
not only that, all of those teams outside of the Chiefs have made tremendous progression,
Yeah.
on both sides of the ball. Raiders back-to-back seasons of really doing a good job drafting. I
Hmm.
feel like Ashton Genty this season, obviously he could be a really big top performer, really
Yeah.
take that team to the next level. Brock Bowers is arguably going to be the top tight end this season
Hmm.
altogether. You have, Geno Smith, who is a much more formidable quarterback for that
Yeah.
team. Pete Carroll has had success with Geno, so that's a good, reuniting
Hmm.
right there. Then obviously Chargers, it's Harbaugh. He has another season under, his belt now,
Hmm.
and he can really get down to business
Yeah.
formulating that roster. Herbert's going to be wearing some red contact lenses, I guess, look
I
like a
saw
little demon out there.
that.
And, hey, maybe it's the difference. Maybe it's the difference,
Hmm.
Sean. Then obviously, what the Broncos are building over there behind Bo Nix, they've added a ton to that defense.
Yeah.
And have made great strides. They took a couple of my 49ers away with Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga. So, that's plenty of added talent to that team. And then a big argument that we saw over this past weekend, from some of our listeners to our videos here, John, is, just in defense of the Chiefs, obviously. Chiefs,
Hmm.
great run. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Not a dynasty. Good at appearances, good at making it deep in the playoffs, Super Bowl
Hmm.
appearances. I kind of liken Mahomes to kind of a LeBron so far,
Hmm.
and I think the debate between Montana and Mahomes itself, I feel like we chose right with Montana.
Yeah.
He's had better success in all the Super Bowls he went to. He's undefeated. And that's something Mahomes can never put his hat on, is being
Yeah.
undefeated in the Super Bowl. Now, to add on to that, the defense of, like you said, Hollywood Brown. That dude's, been team hopping lately.
Yes. Yeah.
He's been battling injuries. He
Hmm.
hasn't found success away from Lamar. I don't see it. Then, going to Rashee Rice, you bring up, his case. He's coming off of a bad injury
Hmm.
last season. That's going to weigh on him. And then obviously Kelsey's getting really old. Love interest off the field with Taylor Swift occupies a
Hmm.
lot of time. He has a good podcast going.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I feel like they haven't really added that much. It
No.
seems like they're kind of standing pat with what they've had, relying on Mahomes to kind
Hmm.
of carry them. And hopefully we're going to see a stride of not only, yeah, Chiefs, kind of like, I guess, plateauing, but also maybe not so much favoritism
Yeah.
from the zebras, which, I feel like that if there was a like least surprising topic of the NFL in the offseason, I think this was it.
Yeah.
With three refs getting in trouble with favoring calls.
Yeah.
Kind of made sense. We are all kind of thinking it
Hmm.
seems like, maybe not the number of penalties, but the timing of those penalties was always
Yeah.
in favor of the Chiefs. Now, one other point I wanted to bring up
Hmm.
was you can go back 5 years, you can go back 10 years. I don't care how many years you're going to go back in the AFC West. That
Yeah.
division has not been good the
No.
last decade at all. Like
No.
it's been downright terrible outside of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So Chiefs are obviously having success playing
Hmm.
these teams six different times out of the year.
Yeah.
It's like free wins. So,
Yeah.
you know, Mahomes just has to go out there and win six more somewhere else and, divvy that
Yeah.
up and can do it. You know?
It's easy because yeah, it's 6 wins, and sometimes you might only need to win 9 games to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to be a first rounder if you have the referees helping you out. You just need to get into the big show. So, that's 3 more wins. Take it easy. Yeah, you could go back as far as you can. People are gonna say the Broncos time, but it's like you could sort of put that argument a little bit. Broncos also didn't have too much challenge. I think they had maybe a little bit more because that's when the Raiders were good. That's when the Raiders were like
Mhm.
playoff savvy teams. The Chargers were a little bit better. Philip Rivers, he was an elite QB, and the Chiefs were trash back then.
Mhm.
So now just because you guys are good winning these divisions, you guys think you're a lot better than all these other teams. Like, no, you guys are at the same level. You aren't anything special. Kudos for making it so far, but you haven't won them all.
Yeah,
If Patrick Mahomes was undefeated, I'd give him his props that he is probably the greatest, but he's lost, and when he's lost, it's been bad.
absolutely. Yeah, no, he's what, 3-2 in total now?
Hmm.
And yeah, like you said, when he's lost, it's been bad losses to the
Hmm.
Bucks, Eagles. It's been ugly. He's been
Hmm.
outperformed. I think you said 7 picks in 5 Super Bowl appearends. That's a
Hmm.
lot. Montana,
Zero.
0. Of course,
Hmm.
he's perfect. He's perfect. And but it ended up being a great debate.
Yeah.
You can of course battle eras, whatever. Football's always
Hmm.
been competitive.
Yeah.
The type of, I guess, talent that you need to perform in the NFL varies, depending on the era you're in. Maybe a little bit less, passing obviously back in the day, and that's
Hmm.
going to reflect on the stats a bit.
Yeah.
But, at that time, arguably more physical.
Yeah.
A lot less penalties probably called at that time,
Eh,
and
yeah, and I was gonna say that I back then, even back in what 2005, probably you could
mhm,
hit a QB and not get a call. Now you touch a QB, flags come every single direction, every single angle.
mhm.
And like I say, Patrick Mahomes has benefited from that. A lot of these quarterbacks in this current NFL era are benefiting from that. So that's why you can't really put a lot of them up there with the teams of old because of the physicality, you
Mhm.
know, because if they were playing back in, even when the Ravens won in '01, man, those Ravens teams would destroy Patrick Mahomes. They'd cut him in half how they were hitting QBs.
Oh, easily. Absolutely. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
And all of this kind of leads me to a follow-up question. In
Hmm.
my brain right now, John, sports is, obviously it's hit a lull here
Hmm.
always this time of year. Football's kind of getting back. Where I
Yeah.
think we're about a week away from the Hall of Fame game.
Hmm.
I couldn't be more excited to watch second, third stringers, go out there on the field and give it their all, because football is back, and that's what matters most. But so that's why I'm going to throw this question at you and kind of
Hmm.
spice things up even more here.
Okay.
Out of the 4 teams in the AFC West, what place do the Chiefs finish in this season?
Um, I think they'll finish third. I think they'll be battling for that third spot, probably with the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes a
Hmm.
whole lot of sense. You think maybe some of the maturity at QB with the Raiders is what's going to carry
Hmm.
them above? Yeah.
The maturity, the coaching, like I said, they have a running back now that's young, explosive. That team, that defense is still strong.
Mhm.
It's a scary team, and I think later in the year, once we get closer to the NFL season, we'll do our hot takes for the season
Oh
like
yeah.
we did last year. Last year's hot takes, we sort of ate our words, but we're gonna bring in some new ones based on what we're seeing. But I'm gonna say third. I think
Yep.
Chargers take first. I think I do think Raiders probably are gonna take second, and the Broncos will take third.
Yep.
And we'll battle with the Chiefs. Chiefs could take third, but that's still not in the playoffs.
For sure. Yeah. I might even say fourth. I think the Broncos could be better than them this year. I could see that. Nick's had a great rookie season.
Hmm.
It's asking a lot for a second. Sophomore slumps is a thing. So
Yeah.
let's see how he progresses. So yeah, third, fourth, I kind of see that same kind of,
Hmm.
return there. But yeah, can't wait for the hot takes. Obviously, we'll get
The
that going. And speak for yourself, John. I might run it back with the Bears. We'll see. But
Bears.
yeah, spice it up a bit.
Yeah.
Excited for that hot take season to come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing with the Chargers, why I think they could do well, um, Jim Harbaugh, when he started with the 49ers, first year, as a coach, took them to the NFC Championship game. You
Mhm.
know, that's with a decent team. Second year, made it to the Super Bowl. So he knows how to change up a team within a year to 2 years. So this is year two. I think there's a lot that could happen in San Diego. So excited to see that. We'll be happy for Fidel to have him have a winning team.
Yes, yeah, no, he'll be stoked on it. Still think those yellow unis are awful, by the way. Did not like them. He
Yeah,
was asking, just point of reference, Fidel was asking us this past week what we thought
yeah,
of the Chargers' new uniforms. I love those navies. Navies are
yeah,
great, but all yellow, hard pass. Sorry.
yeah. No, it isn't the best, but yeah, the Navy, those are solid.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some uniform rankings coming up too. All right, it's got my take. John sent it over. MLB All-Star is the MLB All-Star is the next All-Star game at risk. Report has it many decided to skip that they asked a dozen pitchers before getting to controversial pick Jake Mizorowski. Yes, one of them, Ranger Suarez, correct? I believe was offered, said no. Kind of brought up
Hmm.
a bit of that controversy because obviously the Phillies were very outspoken about
Yeah.
this. Bryce, Kyle Schwarber,
Hmm.
Trey Turner all had kind of voiced their opinion saying, hey, we got great pitchers on this team, and then the guys that they're kind of backing up are the ones that said no.
Yeah.
It's kind of a tell-all, which at the pitching position, quite frankly, John, it kind of makes sense in a way
Hmm.
to me. That's kind of the position that, they're ranking out. Pitching's a little bit different. You're on a rotation, you're in a groove. You don't want to alter that groove at times.
Hmm.
So going into the All-Star game, you're going to probably be expected to throw an inning,
Anything.
maximum
Hmm.
two, most likely just one. Everybody needs a chance.
Hmm.
And, if you're middle relief, if you're a starter, you might have just pitched, you're not going to pitch. So you go there, you show
Yeah.
up, you do nothing, probably saving themselves from that trip. Makes a whole lot of sense from the pitching position.
Hmm.
With this take, that's where it starts though, is, it's going to be a trickle down effect. Hitters get into grooves too.
Yeah.
Say you have a guy like Cal Raleigh, who's obviously off to a historic run so far,
Hmm.
38 home runs before the All-Star break. He says no, just imagine. He says, no, don't want to do the
Hmm.
All-Star break. I'm in a groove right now. I'm focused on the season. Then it's like, dude, your biggest bat is
Hmm.
not going to join the All-Stars. Now, obviously, this is a hypothetical. He's competing in the home run derby. You get a decent, you get a
Yeah.
bag for winning that. I think it's a milli, which is awesome.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the trickle down effect is very real. You're going to have, your average player. Maybe this is going to be a first appearance. Maybe this is going to be a 20th appearance. If it's, you've been there, done that, you know, it's going to be a pass. And then another tell-all sign to this too, John, was I love the ending to the game. I thought that was awesome
Oh,
having the
yeah.
sudden death home run, Kyle Schwarber, three
Hmm.
for three. That was electric.
Yeah.
Uh, Phillies pay your man. Dude deserves a payday. I love Kyle Schwarber.
Hmm.
Brought that World Series to the Cubbies. That way my dad could witness that.
Hmm.
But anywho, speaking of which, guys like Otani, Judge, I heard they were practically on the plane when that was going
Yeah,
on.
I heard they
So
left the building already.
yeah. So, they probably knew that they weren't going to go back in it, probably didn't know that it was
Hmm.
going to reach a sudden death, maybe might not have even known the rule, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people were kind of surprised. Me for one.
Yeah.
And but that was absolutely electric. I think they need to
Hmm.
bring that into the regular season. It would be more fun than watching, I don't know, guys start on second in the 10th
Yeah.
inning. It's just kind of whatever. But bottom line, you have players leaving it
Hmm.
early, and you have big names like people who are there to see Otani,
Hmm.
people that are there to see
Judge.
Judge, and they're packing their bags, heading home, getting ready for second half of the season.
Hmm.
Can't really blame them, but it's kind of tell all. This is the
Yes.
last All-Star game that we got that's somewhat competitive, but here we are. Here we are with this topic, John.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a good look hearing that. That a lot of people decline to go, and like you said, it makes sense the points you have that they're on a rotation. It might mess them up just pitching one inning. Is it really worth it for probably a little pay, just some exposure, but having to travel somewhere where they could already stay home, rest, relax, or travel to their next city for their next, game and be prepped? That might be a better option, especially for these players that are in the playoff hunt. Phillies, they're in the playoffs. It's gonna be a playoff team, so you got to take care of yourself. So it makes sense. And yeah, I heard that story of Judge Otani leaving early, and I'm like, that's not a good look. Having your superstars leave early, it sort of is that LeBron James piece where you show up, you say you're an all-star, you're there, but you don't even play. You wiggle your way into the starter photo without even a jersey, just in your street clothes. Like, it's not a good look. Making the all-star look bad, but we'll see what they do. Because, like I said, they're all these all-star games are getting bad. The only one that was good this year, I would say NHL with the Four Nations.
Oh yeah.
That's the only one that really caught my attention. I think we'll talk a little bit about the WNBA All-Star because that happened this weekend.
Hmm.
We'll talk a little bit about that, but MLB, they got to figure out what to do to keep their All-Star week relevant, um, and also just not so rushed because I feel like it was so rushed.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, we kind of talked on that last week where it's like Celebrity All-Star game was on a
Hmm.
Saturday, then all of a sudden you have, you're jumping straight into the home run derby. It's like
Yeah.
these guys barely played yesterday.
Hmm.
Then you're gonna go straight into the All-Star game the day after. It
Yeah.
did seem rushed. Speaking of rushed, they need to change the derby back to how it used to be. 10 outs.
10
That's
outs.
that's the
Yeah.
way because you could at least watch these home runs. Like,
Hmm.
like O'Neal Cruz this year hit a 513-foot bomb. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, let's admire that for a second
Yeah.
instead of like it's back, 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 back,
Yeah.
and then it
Trying to
falls, and
get
then
us.
there's like, you pan through and you don't even see like the ricochet, anything like
Hmm.
that. You're just up to the next pitch. It's rushed. Obviously, it's competitive, but I'd love to go back to just outs,
Yeah.
traditional. And hopefully that's a talking point going forward because
Hmm.
that's exhaustion for these players too,
Yeah.
and I don't know how ideal that is for them. But going back to this topic overall, uh, I don't want to take away from Mizorowski too much
Hmm.
either. Kid has a 97
Oh
mile an
yeah.
hour slider, which is filthy, and he's on a very competitive
Hmm.
team. I think he's the perfect asset to that team,
Hmm.
and I think he's going to be really good for years to come.
Yeah.
I just think he has great stuff. Hopefully, he can stay healthy is number one. But to get an All-Star game right away,
No.
it
Good.
even to be considered,
Hmm.
it's pretty cool. Did some, did some work against your Dodgers as well.
Oh yeah.
He's
Yeah.
which is,
We're not
that's a
talking
tall
about that too.
task.
We're not talking about that. Let's move on. Time to
Yes,
move.
rough last. I can't talk as a Giants fan. I need to shut up. We've been awful. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, Mizorowski, hey, props to him, to be considered taking up the
Hmm.
offer, joining, and kind of getting that full All-Star game experience. Hopefully he has a
Yeah.
great career ahead. But yeah, no, it's tell all with all these declines. See
Hmm.
what happens going forward with these All-Star games.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I say, I remember back in the day when all sport all stars were really fun to watch. It's
Hmm.
changed the last few years, so hopefully, we've come up with some ideas for them. We've thrown it out there. Hopefully they listen a little bit. But yeah, it needs to change to get the viewers back, get the excitement back.
Yeah, one would be home anybody participating in the home run derby, just let them get on roids for about a month gearing up to it, and then that way they're just hitting
Yeah,
600-foot home runs.
that'd be good.
That's my ask. Just one of them. We have several.
Yeah. All right, my next take. The upcoming movie, The Odyssey, will set box office records and already has tickets selling a year in advance. Yeah, I saw that tickets for the IMAX showings in a year, I think sold out within minutes. I think people
Yeah.
were logging on. All you had was the front row, and that shows that a director, you know, just like Christopher Nolan, it's amazing. The movie looks great from the short trailer we saw, and anything Christopher Nolan has touched, in the last decade has been gold, has been a box office hit. So I think it's gonna set, records. I think if we do this movie challenge game next year, I think we know what the
Hmm.
unanimous number one pick, whoever gets it, will pick
It's 1A.
first. So it it's crazy how they're already selling these IMAX theater tickets and they're getting sold out. Nobody people are saying movies are dead, but they're not dead. It's just
Hmm.
you got to find the right directors, the right movies, the right, themes because like I say, when it's good, people show up, You could look at How to Train Your Dragon, one of the best live action, made movies that come from an animation, you know. All the other ones have been a bit of duds, and this one did it right, and people loved it. It's breaking records. You could say Lilo and Stitch too. I think it broke a billion worldwide. So
Hmm.
they're already coming up with a second movie. So that shows when you have a great movie, great directors, and just a great story overall, it's still gonna hit and people are still gonna go to the movie theaters. Because like I say, that broke 1 billion while it's still in theaters. It hasn't come to Disney Plus yet or any type of streaming service.
Was literally looking for that this past weekend too. I saw that
Uh,
Lilo and Stitch icon. It just says
uh,
like, reveal or something like that,
yeah.
that small trailer. I'm like, damn it. I want to watch that with the kiddos already. But yeah, theaters, I went to go see, one movie this summer so far, and it was a packed theater. It was a
Hmm.
premiere night, and only seats available were front row. And I think that's really telling of how active movie theaters really are. And going back to the Odyssey, this is a great take, John. This is 1A for
Hmm.
summer movies
Yeah.
next year. We're a year away from this.
Yeah.
Don't know if you saw, there's a clip. I wasn't too sure if I sent it to you. I should have if I didn't. But there was a clip of somebody filming in Hollywood from like the top of a hill
Hmm.
looking down on the
I
set
saw
of
it.
the
Yeah.
Odyssey. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's the Punisher guy, Matt Damon, and the Punisher guy. I love that.
Uh,
Tom Holland, Zendaya. Just the lineup, though. Is just absurd. You
hmm.
mix that with Nolan, Christopher Nolan, it's just the makings of a godly film.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
And question for you though, because I haven't
Hmm.
looked too much into it. These tickets are selling out a ton, specifically for the IMAX. Is this like a new type of level of IMAX? Is this like your seats move, or what is
No,
this?
no, it's how the movie's recorded, which is in IMAX. So
Oh,
normally, they're recorded on a certain. Like I said, I'm not the biggest filmmaker to know what kind of cameras they are. Um, but the Odyssey is being recorded fully in IMAX. Yeah, I think it's like 70 millimeters or something. Um, and like I say, it's one of the first few movies that are really shooting that way. Um, not some movies do some IMAX and then just go back to their regular type of camera. So that's the difference. And when you shoot in IMAX, it just gives you um I think it's like a larger scene so you could see a lot more of the movie. So it's that
gotcha.
widescreen look. Which is gonna be really cool. The resolution, the color, it's gonna look clean for a movie of this caliber. Because like I said, Christopher Nolan, he puts so much into it, with his CGI, those visual effects. If you look at Inception, that movie visually was stunning. The way the
Hmm.
buildings would move, bend over and it looked perfectly, real. So him shooting this, that's why it's such a big deal in IMAX because it's all being shot in an IMAX camera.
Yeah, see, that's insane right there. And these editors, they got to be asking for some more change when
Oh
it
yeah.
comes to this film, I'm sure. Because it's like, okay, you want a wider picture? Let me edit out every far corner of this screen now.
Yeah.
And, on top of that, they're filming, obviously, Hollywood Hills somewhere over there.
Hmm.
And, you have people like hiking or whatever, maybe filming from a
Yeah.
backyard, looking down on it. If they shout, if they do anything, you got to cue yourself up to exactly where that is in the film and X
Hmm.
that out because that's going to make all the difference in the world. But
Yeah.
it's going to be so much that goes in this film, which only speaks volumes for how good
Hmm.
I feel like this is going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
IMAX. I don't know. Maybe I should buy a ticket a year in advance too. I don't know.
If you've never seen a movie in IMAX, you have to watch a movie that's built for IMAX. So not all movies are good on IMAX. I think
Sure.
Oppenheimer, that was a good one on IMAX. I didn't watch it in IMAX. The one IMAX theater we have here in Ventura County doesn't have recliner seats, and I'm just too spoiled. I need my
Uh,
recliners.
yeah,
I need those
absolutely.
recliners nowadays at my age.
Yep.
Once you get into it, it's hard to not like it. Um, but the screens are big. They're great screens. It's just I like the reclining of it.
Yeah, no arguments there. I completely agree. I feel like that makes all the difference in the world. back in the day, like I remember I used to work at Movie Co there in Thousand Oaks,
Hmm.
and we used to get complaints about like the average theater having really uncomfortable seats, which yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to argue back because it's some of them are like you're sitting on like a cardboard box. It
Yes.
felt like, it might look nice,
Yeah.
but you'd have to go upstairs to the 21 over
Hmm.
section on the balcony, or and they labeled it Pepsi Max at the time,
Yeah.
where it's nice leather. I
Hmm.
think you get to recline a bit, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Those were nice, but
Yeah.
it makes all the difference.
It does.
If they can combine the two, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. No,
Yeah. No, that's I bet. But I would say if you have a chance to watch a movie in IMAX, watch one that's built for IMAX, that's like shot with IMAX to really enjoy it. To see the difference, because you will see a difference in an IMAX movie compared to a regular just shot standard movie.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to make all the difference in the world. Like besides like maybe sound wise, visually, does it look just more realistic like you're there in person?
It's just clearer, just more
Gotcha.
crisp, clean video.
Yep,
Like I say, and when you see a movie like that, it just does feel like you're there a lot more.
that's great.
The 3D when 3D came out, it was a great concept, but
Yeah.
I don't think they ever built off of it to make it successful. I don't
Yep.
think it's as successful as it probably they were hoping it was going to be because I don't think many movies make it 3D. Like
Hmm.
in the past, a movie like The Odyssey and Oppenheimer, they would be shot for 3D, but I think they saw like 3D is not the way to go. We're not making money off of it.
Yeah, in my opinion, 3D is like for like a kids movie.
Hmm.
That's where it makes sense, pretty much. Did you ever get those DVDs that came 3D and then it like
Yeah,
sent glasses with you?
yeah,
It's such a throwback. I haven't
yeah,
seen that in years.
yeah,
I mean, who's watching, DVDs now? But
yeah.
that's that's a
But
funny.
yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like 3D, like that was supposed to be the big thing, and now it's dead. But IMAX, I don't think that's going anywhere. That's gonna continue building, and with the way technology is, they're gonna be building way better cameras to be able to capture so much more detail and it's great for movies. I think it's great for filmmaking. People say movie theaters are dead, box office is dead. I don't think so. I think this past summer it's making a comeback. I think there's a lot of great stuff. Movie update. I know we didn't go over it last week because
Getting slammed.
you got one more chance this weekend with your Fantastic Four movie coming
Mm,
out Thursday.
yeah,
But
miracle.
Superman made a total of 125 million
Ah,
opening weekend.
Jesus. Oh my
So that puts me at
God.
306 million for
Terrible.
my five movies. I don't got anything else. You're at 149. So for you to surpass, you got to make 158 million, which it's a Marvel movie. You can't count it out. Like I say, that's just 23 more million than Superman. So it's within that range.
Hey,
So it's
yes.
it's not too much of a long shot, but it's a scary number when you look at opening weekend only domestically.
Very, very much so. And, who doesn't want to go see their third Pedro Pascal movie of the summer?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, a lot of people
he's been
are.
on a roll.
He
He's been on
is.
a roll. Good for him. But yeah, it's Superman. You said
Mhm.
it was great, right? You
I
really
liked it a
enjoyed that
lot.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. There's mixed reviews, I think, of people saying they like Superman, some didn't like it. I enjoyed the story. Like I say, trying not to give too many spoilers because I know people still may be watching it, but beginning it started differently than what I thought. Origin
Hmm.
story. Maybe we'll get that later on with future films. But I like the story. I like the characters. Vera loved the dog a lot. Crypto. Um, Overall, I think it was a great movie. Like I say, James Gunn did well. I think it sure surpassed that number that they gave him to continue, and I think everybody's hyped for Supergirl because, like I say, you got a little preview of that.
There you go. Yeah,
Mhm.
good little precursor.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, James Gunn, success. Good little pull. Right now with this whole game though, John, I
Mhm.
literally feel like that hockey player who beat up that dude on the golf
Oh,
course, and he was
yeah.
like grabbed his shirt and he's like, bam, bam. He did it 3 times and he's like narrating his own fight.
Yeah.
And he throws him into the lake, and I still try to get out with Fantastic Four as a
Uh,
comeback. And
uh,
then you just continue to kick my ass.
Hey, you never know. Well, we'll see. We'll see next week on Monday once we see
Yeah.
the numbers for the opening weekend.
God, that was an all-time clip though. Did you watch that fight, John?
I did.
Oh man, just you get thrown into a lake. I think I'm gonna stay underwater. I'm just gonna like
Yeah, when it's recorded,
did everybody leave?
the guy came out and apologized for how he acted, huh?
I saw that. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Which,
Yeah.
great for him, but it's like that's embarrassing. It's gonna live
No,
in the internet now forever, and you got to deal with it, no matter how drunk you were. Like it's not it just sucks.
it
But
just
great video.
sucks. Yeah, no, because that's yeah, no, it's everybody's gonna say like you're an easy fight now.
Yeah.
And again, you're picking a fight with an enforcer, retired enforcer of the
Oh
NHL.
yeah.
Like you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah, you are. You are.
It's so funny though. Bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam.
No,
So
it's
good.
great. But yeah, but that was my second take. Here's your next one, Tim.
All right. The NFL needs to make their draft picks salary and guarantee money stay the same yearly based on draft position. Half the second round picks haven't signed due to guaranteed money. NIL created a monster with these kids. Yes, this has been kind of the NFL offseason for ages as far as draft
Hmm.
picks and signings go. And there's no really guaranteed seal any answers to this. I
Hmm.
saw an interview today speaking of like Shamar Stewart's situation,
Yeah.
and I believe the owner's name was Mike Brown. He kind of discussed some of that guaranteed money and how they don't want to pay out the
Hmm.
guarantees in case of I believe if he goes to jail, something like
Hmm.
that, which I hate to say it, kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
You end up in jail, why should we pay you?
Yeah.
You're not living up to being on the field. Injuries are one thing. Don't get me wrong. That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you still should be able to get paid during those times.
Hmm.
But go to jail, it's something you did wrong. So, why should you continue on
Hmm.
with salary? And I don't want to take away from Shamar. Obviously, you're
Hmm.
drafted. You want to be successful in the NFL. But these situations, you bring up NIL in this scenario. It's all there. It's
Hmm.
it's guaranteed. Hey, this is what we're paying you to come here. This
Yeah.
is what you're going to get, and you're going to live by that, and that's your expectation. So the
Hmm.
expectations are going to be different as they head into the NFL, and
Hmm.
oftentimes they're going to be making less,
Yeah.
going into it. So it's an ugly situation until I guess the implementation of kind of like we discussed before of kind of like an NIL cap
Hmm.
per se kind of makes somewhat of an effect on these
Yeah.
teams. Don't know how well that's going to work because you could probably still pay a guy like Arch Manning 10 million a year and then just divvy out the rest
Yeah.
to players that, might be late first, second round picks,
Hmm.
whatever, and yeah, but it's an ugly situation. It's didn't the Houston Texans just sign a big contract with a wide receiver, I believe, and that
Yeah.
was fully guaranteed, if I'm not
I, I
mistaken.
I think it's close to fully guaranteed, but yeah, it's that these second rounders want more guaranteed money than even second rounders last year. And you make the points, it's about getting paid. That's why you come to the NFL, you're looking for that big paycheck, and I think NIL, nothing against it. I think we were both fans of it because it has
Yep.
changed the landscape for the better, but it's sort of affecting these kids once they go to the NFL, thinking they have control over the NFL. And
Hmm.
I hate to say it, but I feel like the NFL and the NFL Players Association, they're going to get into an argument of figuring out what's going to happen, and we're going to get into a lockout for a year. We're going to have to go into a lockout. A lot of these players are going to lose a lot of money, and then they're going to have to settle because these owners, let's be honest, they're not about losing money and giving away money to these players. You know,
Hmm.
you have to show, you have to play to earn that paycheck, and that guaranteed money, the Browns screwed it up for the entire league. What they give Deshaun Watson, that's where it
Oh,
started. You know, a ridiculous amount of money, and when it never was ever an issue or a discussion, and it's just unfortunate because, like I said, these second rounders, great players, but how many of them are even successful? How many second rounders do we really see starters for the first few years? Not too many of them. Many of them play maybe 5 games the entire season. Getting
hmm.
paid 10 million guaranteed a year, that's not really worth it for me as an owner to invest in you when I could cut you, invest on a player that's more has shown it in the NFL and pay the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's nothing proven.
Hmm.
It's like you've proven it in college, but the NFL is a completely different
Yeah.
monster. So, until you do that, here we are. Maybe they need to make those rookie deals a little bit shorter, and then that way
Hmm.
these players can re-sign a little bit quicker.
Hmm.
That's kind of been talks specifically for running backs.
Hmm.
That's a more short-lived career. They want their money a little bit sooner, trying to condense that time, position specific. That maybe that's something that they need to look into a little bit more. But it also kind of prompts the question, John, and I'm curious for your response with
Hmm.
this. Do you think we might see something where like the NFLPA begins governance over college football. Likewise, with maybe the NBA PA gets governance over college basketball, and kind of helps kind of deal with. I guess that would be kind of unionizing,
Yeah.
college athletics. Which I don't know what rabbit hole we'd go down with all of that, but um, it's just it's kind of a thought because to a certain extent we need to kind of treat college athletics as kind of a minor league
Hmm.
to because let's be honest, the D League isn't
No,
we don't think much of it.
no.
It's college sports you're paying more attention to for who the next star is
Hmm.
versus anything going on in the D League. So,
Yeah.
that's a possibility, but I'm curious, what do you think about something like that?
I think it's possible because, like you said, you hit it right there. College sports is the second division. It's
Mhm.
development, it's how you develop these players to be that pro athlete. And it might be there's going to be major changes because, like I said, NIL sort of taking over the NCAA for all sports, and some of these pros teams, it's affecting them because, like I said, let's look at it here. Baseball, they have a good system for draft players on a pool of money, and not having it sort of like, okay, you got drafted first round. This is what you're really going to get paid. There's no other real negotiation. That's what you get as a first rounder. But it's going to come to a point where some of these players are going to be like, I'm going to stay in college because my NIL money is better. So let me enjoy it for 4 years before getting to the pros. And there's a lot of risk with that. I think we talked about it with Cooper Flag of, yeah, you're gonna get drafted number one overall, but you could still probably make 10 times that in at Duke for another year. But
Yeah,
you risk injury, you risk doing a lot worse, and your draft plummeting. So, it's I think NFL, NBA, all these sports are gonna take over NCAA, the football, conferences, and build off of that and control the money.
absolutely. Next player up that we're going to think about that with is Arch Manning.
Hmm.
I think he's what eclipsing 10 mil this year
Yeah.
alone. It's gets drafted, would
Hmm.
probably be making less than that. So,
Yeah.
it's a tough riddle to solve.
Hmm.
A lot's changed over the last couple of years with all of the NIL stuff. And then I feel like that's already having such a drastic effect on, the mentality and the attitudes of a lot of these players. We kind of saw a lot of that. Another point I want to make was the NBA draft. You
Hmm.
have players coming up, probably, earn quite a bit through NIL and college basketball. And then, they're saying like, dropping F bombs by
Hmm.
the NBA team that they're being drafted by. Like,
Yeah.
they kind of like you mentioned, they
Hmm.
have this kind of, they've been put on a pedestal to the point where they feel like they can decide everything. And that mentality until you've proven yourself in the NBA just
Yeah.
doesn't exist. You know,
Hmm.
it can't. That's why kind of my argument with the Ace Bailey thing
Yeah.
was kind of a big deal to me because it's like, dude, like, yeah, like you teamed up decently,
Hmm.
at Rutgers. Didn't even make the tournament. What am I saying?
Yeah.
It's like individually though, you have talent, and you could be a hell of a player in the NBA. I don't want to take that
Hmm.
away from Ace Bailey, but I bring him up as an example because he's trying to dictate where he wants to
Hmm.
go. It's like, dude, that choice really isn't yours.
No.
Like, just take the team that drafts you and make the most of that
Hmm.
opportunity. And if you do get drafted by somebody who can't give you as many minutes, see
Yeah.
the upside in that. See the
Yeah.
upside of I have to work my tail end off to outcompete so and so
Hmm.
to get in the starting lineup. And then
Yeah.
once I'm there, I'm going to be surrounded by a slew of other talent.
Hmm.
For example, the 76ers. He was picked
Yeah.
by Philly. He'd be jumping into a team with Embiid right away,
Hmm.
as long as Embiid can stay healthy. Paul George,
Yeah.
you have plenty of talent on that team to be successful. So that's my rant.
Yeah. No, and you got to show it. Like you say, you make a good point. There's only like one or two players that could do, or I would say only one player, and it's that unanimous number one pick. When
Mm-hmm.
you're that unanimous number one, you can sort of dictate where you're going to go. We saw it
Mm-hmm.
with Eli Manning, not wanting to go to San Diego, wanting New York. He got it to happen. Not many do it because they know it could also affect them in a negative way. Caleb Williams almost got affected by it quite a bit, where he
Yep.
didn't, at first, rumors were he didn't want to go to Chicago, but now he's in Chicago. I think he's going to do well there. And he's making the best of that situation. And what Bailey needed to do was sort of go wherever you get drafted, wherever that is, even if it was Philadelphia, show that you're a baller. You might not get the full 32 plus minutes. Show what you could do in those 15, 20 minutes because even if you're never a starter, you're going to show these teams that you have the potential. And there's going to be a team that picks you up and pays you even more to be a starter, after your rookie deal, after your rookie contract. So there's still a lot of future in these guys. They're young. They're 19. It's not like they're 25, starting their NBA career. They're
Right.
starting at 19. They got plenty of years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Plenty of time to shine and find that success. But I think that we need to kind of stir away from the precedent of,
Hmm.
all the power being in these players' hands because this
Yeah.
just it's different once you get to the NBA.
Yeah. It's a lot different. I understand why they hold out, why they're doing it. I feel like I understand why the owners aren't wanting to give in because, like I say, that's a big investment for something that isn't guaranteed, and we'll see what comes from it. But it's crazy because it was a point I think a few weeks ago. Out of the 32 teams, 30 of the second rounders hadn't signed their rookie deal yet, which is
That's
insane. Right
yeah.
before the Hall of Fame game, where everybody's pretty much always signed.
Yep.
So it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, it takes in the past it would take in a complete anomaly
Hmm.
for somebody not to be signed,
Yeah,
but teams are clearly dealing with this.
yeah,
And yeah, it's ugly. But yeah, to the point, standardize
hmm,
picks, position,
yeah,
salaries,
yeah,
guarantees.
yeah. That's what it should be. I think it'll make it easier, less of a headache for the players, less of a headache for owners, and just get to football. Let's avoid a
100%.
lockout. I don't want to see a lockout.
Yeah, this is what we all wait for all year.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't butcher football.
So I'm gonna send you another take, and it's sort of a conversation we could have. It's something that we've seen a lot. There's been a lot of TikToks about it. You
Hmm.
might already know what I'm gonna send, but it was funny when I read this today.
Yep. Okay. Uh, Oasis?
Oasis,
Oasis, my
the
bad.
band. Yeah.
Oh, Oasis. Liam Gallagher says cheaters are safe at their concert after the Coldplay scandal. If you are ever at a sporting event or concert, nothing is private because you will get caught. Yes, absolutely. Quite frankly, the way I see this whole situation is justice is served. Quite frankly, uh,
Mhm.
don't be a cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater. It's
Yeah.
not cool. These both parties involved seemingly have are married and have children, and that affects absolutely everybody when they make
Mhm.
decisions like this. And I think it's just completely ironic that she was in HR, head of HR, and it just gives that precedent with HR and all that good stuff, which is it's a crazy situation. And then Coldplay did not really they have like just this beautiful alley oop to like capitalize on it. And then in
Mhm.
their last show, they were just like, make sure you get your makeup right. It's like, dude, nah, just go for like the full on, joke here. Like that's your time.
Yeah.
Nobody's talked about Coldplay this much in a while. Like,
No.
just capitalize on it, you know? But absolutely, like and they could have played that off, I guess, a little bit better as them instead of
Yeah.
they were just completely obvious with it, obviously in the moment. But I'm glad they were obvious with it because I'm glad they
Yeah.
got caught. Karma,
Karma.
karma sucks. It's what you get.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to say Liam Gallagher saying that cheaters are safe at their concert. Hard
It's
pass,
it's
you know?
endorsing cheating, which like I say, I don't know if he's doing it as a joke, just to get people to come in his concert and pay attention to Oasis. Oasis is amazing band. If you've listened to their music, amazing music. But yeah, when I saw the whole thing, I was like, it reminds me of so many like TV shows. Modern Family. I don't know if you ever saw the clip where Phil gets
Uh,
caught at the Laker game. Uh, his wife calls him because he's like courtside behind the Laker bench. His wife calls him. He looks at the phone, doesn't answer, and then all of a sudden, Gloria, who plays Sofia Vergara's character, like it's a
mhm,
kiss cam, and she kisses him because they were on the camera. She does it
mhm,
just because like, hey, we're on camera, let's just do it, and it's just hilarious. But what he says is sort of what the CEO said, Andy Byron. Um, he apologized, acknowledges that he's disappointed because what it caused. But at the end, like I say, and it's the one thing when I read it, I just started laughing because I'm like, you're just a joke, dude. This is a
mhm.
joke. You're not even sorry for it.
Right.
He says, I also want to express how troubling it is that what should have been a private moment became public without my consent. I respect artists and entertainers, but I hope we can all think more deeply about the impact of turning someone's entire life into a spectacle. In my head, I was like, no, you're in public. Like anything that
Hmm.
happens in public, it's free game, especially at a sporting event or concert, you're never gonna be in private. Like if you wanted it to be a private moment, go rent to Motel 6, go have your fun there, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, he's not really sorry. He's just trying to win the good graces, but he ain't going to. I think a lot. I commented on I think this post, and I was just like laughing. I was like, "You're a joke, dude."
Yeah. Yeah. What a jerk. He's just probably upset he got caught.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But he has literally nobody else to blame but himself.
Hmm.
Don't put yourself in that situation, dude. Like
Yeah.
clown.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only way to put it.
It's funny, and you made the point like if they wouldn't have reacted that way, I don't think anybody would have said anything. I don't think nobody
Mhm.
would have found out. So it's sort of like, yeah, you did it yourself. Like it's hilarious, but all the TikToks people are making and all these sports teams that are taking advantage
Fully
of those
fanatic.
the
It's so good.
the cold they're calling it the Coldplay Kiss Cam now because
There
of
you
what
go.
they did. It's hilarious, but I keep on seeing this stuff and I'm just like it's insane, man. He resigned from as CEO from his company.
Hmm.
He's probably gonna lose half his money in this divorce because everything's public. But
Yeah.
I think the one big point for me for this is you're in public. It's not a private moment.
Hmm.
Like don't be expecting it to be private because I look back at that one documentary. Do you remember the one guy that was put in jail that was at a Dodger game? Um, so he was in jail for a few
Yeah.
years, and then but he was innocent because he said he was at a Dodger game, but just because he was, viewed as the criminal, he was there, and then it was the
It was
what was it?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
Yeah, yeah, Curb Your
Yeah.
Enthusiasm with Larry that he was in the background, and the lawyer was looking for it and they found him. They
Yep.
saw him there and it's sort of like, look, that's a time where you could say it was private for him, but publicly it saved his life from being in jail for life. So it's
Yeah.
like nothing's ever going to be private when you go out to sporting events, concerts, things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's can be a saving grace for the other half of that relationship.
Yeah.
Who, it's like, thank you, Coldplay, for putting them on blast. So it's what they
It's
get.
crazy.
Did you see like that girl who was next to them that was blushing? They were
Yeah.
saying like that was like, I guess, another employee of the company, but I guess
Mhm.
that, they kind of said that wasn't true.
Mhm.
But I don't
I
know. It just
I
seems like a lot of people knew what was up over there.
I heard and like I said, this is just something I heard. I haven't looked into it. I heard it's someone that knew about the relationship that knew the CEO's wife that sort of was playing off that or the HR's best friend that was sort of covering for them of what they were doing.
Wow.
That's something I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I heard, and I'm like, man, if that's the case, you're hiding wherever you're working at right now, because that's not a
Oh,
good
for
look.
sure.
Your girlfriends ain't trusting you no more after doing that.
Not at all. And then I think that the I guess the VP of like company events with Astronomer, that
hmm
company, got laid off as well because he's the one who purchased the tickets to the event, but he
Oh
knew
dang!
nothing about the relationship.
Oh dang!
But because that's typically, I guess, what he did is just
hmm
buy tickets to things and,
Yeah,
camaraderie events, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, doing it on the
Uh,
company's dime
yeah.
too.
Well, that's some crazy team building right there.
Hey,
Some
it
cheating
is.
scandals as a team builder.
Yeah, what's funny too is I've on my TikTok feed too, I've had two videos of the HR lady
Yeah,
come up at like just previous meetings she was in with that
yeah.
company. And she was talking about like collaborative efforts as a company and and it's like, yeah, I can tell you like to be collaborative.
Yeah, it's in many ways more than just professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
That's a
it's
wild scene.
crazy, but yeah, I saw that. I was like, we had to bring it up just because it's what's being talked about. Everything you see, just hilarious. And like I say, his statement, like I say, if it was sincere, I'd give him a little bit of grace. Like, okay, thanks for admitting it. But that last comment, I was like, no, you're a joke, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
good thing you're gonna lose half your money and maybe even more.
Yeah, no, he's a seems like a genuine a-hole.
Yeah.
So
But yeah.
good luck,
But
bud.
but yeah, but those are our banter takes. Agree or disagree? Let us know in the comments. Let us know your thoughts with this week's banter takes. Like I say, we always enjoy bantering. We know these Chiefs fans are going to come after us, but hey, we're ready.
Always.
We're ready. But we'll go into NBA. Some of the big news, you could sort of say somewhat big news. CP3 come on back to the LA Clippers. And for me, uh I could give you my thoughts, but I want your thoughts first, Tim. What do you think of CP3 and this new look Clippers? I call them the Wellness and Aging Center Clippers because a lot of our stars are over, I think it was over 35 is the youngest.
Yeah. No, I saw that graphic.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it just seems like it's like a pickup league at the Y, and it's just a bunch of old
Yeah.
dudes, teaming up, getting the band back together. It's like that movie Wild Hogs,
hmm
Travolta. Um, but overall, you know, I think it's okay.
hmm
I would say like, oh yeah, they signed him to be that veteran presence. It's
hmm
like, no, they're just signing
No.
him to be with his veteran friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall, I guess, it makes sense. It's a good landing
Yeah.
spot for him to kind of finish out his career.
hmm
Spent many years with the Clippers previously. again, kind of makes sense. Uh, Bradley Beal is obviously the next piece you guys added,
Hmm.
without, the dollar amount,
Yeah.
that the Suns were going to have to pay, which is makes it all worth your while. Hopefully you guys get a good version of
Hmm.
Bradley Beal, but overall, it just, yeah, I don't know if this makes the Clippers just really competitive. It just seems like, you guys will be, I feel like a playoff team for sure.
Hmm.
But how deep into the playoffs? How tired are you guys going to be? Obviously, CP3 always gets injured in the playoffs.
Hmm.
How much of a benefit is he going to be? Maybe he can have more limited minutes to be more healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, Overall, yeah, big names, but just kind of at this
Yeah.
point in their career.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. Like we had a good team this last year. Yeah, we got rid of Norman Powell, but he was out the door anyways, and he didn't show up in the playoffs that well. So I think honestly, it's a good move not having to pay so much. Uh, Bradley Beal, I think that's going to be the X factor. Which version of Bradley Beal we get? We don't need a superstar when he was in Washington. We just need a contributor that's going to score, going to play well, keep us in the games when Kawhi has to sit out, Harden has to sit out. And then CP3, I think that's a good person to sort of run that second unit, be able to
Mhm.
provide the assists, get people open, and keep us scoring. Because that was the other X factor for us is when our starters went down, our bench wasn't that strong in scoring. So CP3 could sort of help with that. We saw it in San Antonio this year. He was able to still, get a lot of those assists. Doesn't get many points, but still that distributor, that presence there with that second unit, I think could be really helpful. But it's gonna be a hard playoff run for us if we when we make it to the playoffs. You hit the big factor is how healthy these aging gentlemen are going to be.
Mhm.
Trying to play YMCA, 24-hour fitness basketball against, these superstars.
Exactly. Yeah, and out west, it's more talented than the East. Houston's done a great job adding
Mhm.
talent to that team this offseason. Minnesota's a factor. Denver's always going to be a factor.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I kind of even like what the Trailblazers have been doing in a way.
Mhm.
I feel like they've added some good veteran presence to,
Yeah.
some decent, young talent there. All of that's going to make a factor. And it's just how healthy can the Clippers stay with their age?
Mhm.
Kawhi's, going to be another one that's, it's like how much do you rest him? How much are you actually going to get out of him? So I don't know. It's a big question mark. If you asked me how this team would do like 10 years ago, you guys would
Oh yeah.
be killing it. Like
Yeah.
it's a dynasty in the making. But
Yep.
right now it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it just depends on how the rest of the teams do, injuries do. One pickup that I'll say I think is somewhat decent. The Lakers picking up Marcus Smart. I think that's a
Yeah,
good, decent pickup. I think him playing with Luca is going to be great. And I sort of think that's sort of the sign that LeBron might be out, because this was more of a Luca pickup than a LeBron pickup.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. And there's been a lot of talk with him to Dallas lately, I've seen,
Okay.
which is ironic because it's just what's Nico gonna do? Trade
Hmm.
Cooper Flag for him? Do something crazy
That's
like that?
maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted the Lakers of Texas, over here and let them get with AD. But
Yeah.
I feel like New York's a bigger destination for him personally.
Hmm.
We talked about that. And could probably find a little bit more success over there. But yeah, you're right. It seems like a Luka move. Seems like the Lakers are kind of prepping for
Hmm.
something. I don't know what's going to happen with LeBron. Still a big question mark there. See
Yep.
how it sets up for them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But
Yeah.
the only other thing I can think of is LeBron going to Cleveland, finishing out his career in
Hmm.
Cleveland. He recently wore a hat while golfing that said
Yeah.
like what, back home or something like
Yeah,
that, home.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, is that people are reading into that as a
Hmm.
precursor? I don't know. But
Hmm.
it's
We'll
going to be
see.
continued. We'll see what they do. All I know is the Golden State Warriors haven't done jack shit, and that's very upsetting because I feel like we're wasting Steph Curry's years. But that's my Warriors 10 seconds right there for you.
Yeah, they haven't done much, and I know I sent you videos of Portland's pickup,
Mm,
Hassan Yang.
that guy's great.
That dude's killing it, man. Him on the Warriors, you guys would have done a lot of stuff.
That would have been so good. Yeah, he has like Jokic vision, I feel like, in
Hmm.
that same pace.
Yeah,
Um, Badass. Badass.
yeah.
Loves to spend time playing PS5. Super
Hmm.
relatable. Just,
Yeah,
he knows.
great,
So
great player. So yeah, but yeah, that's the only real NBA news. There isn't much more after that. Like I say, CP3 is a big name, so it's something, to report on. Marcus Smart was the last one. Let's see. I'm looking at a few things. July 21st. Yeah, that was the last few things. Lillard, like I said, going back to Portland. I think he
mhm.
realized leaving Portland was a mistake. Um,
Definitely. I think he's owed 77 million
mhm.
this year for not even playing. Props to
Yep.
him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's NBA talk. Like I say, it's just the beginning of NBA off season, so we'll see a lot more happening. But we'll go into the other basketball association, WNBA. We had All-Star Weekend this past weekend. Um, for me, I didn't watch it just because I honestly didn't have time. I was in Santa Barbara on Saturday, my parents on Sunday. Um, but from the looks of it, not the most successful from what it sounds like. What do you think, Tim? Was All-Star Weekend for them a fail or was it a success?
I feel like they've kind of come out of this weekend with more criticism than going into it.
Hmm.
And I think they were trying to go for a certain message, obviously, with, pay us what you owe us. But at the same time, it's like if you look at the financials of things, then
Hmm.
you guys going to pay the debt that's
Hmm.
owed? Because the WNBA is not earning money. It's on the right trend. I
Yeah.
think they've decreased it over the past year. I think like something like 80 to 100K
Yeah.
per team so far. It's progress, but it's not there yet. And I just don't know if this is going to be a winning battle for them right away.
Hmm.
Um, I think that the Caitlin Clark hate is more clear than ever at this point. Not a big fan of Kelsey Plum. Not gonna lie. I think that she comes off kind of like Mean Girls, just not very nice. I don't know how else to put it. Her comment about Caitlin Clark and how they weren't showing up with the t-shirt idea
hmm
and kind of backing that. Evidently, they were only invited to that like 10 minutes beforehand. And you're
Okay.
going to invite somebody 10 minutes beforehand. How prepared are they even going to be? And then you throw them under the bus like that. Even
Hmm.
Sabrina Ionescu was there and kind of gave a weird look at Kelsey Plum,
Yeah.
like that didn't
Yeah.
need to be said.
Yeah.
Like, and then she's like, I'm just trying to lighten the mood. It's like, no, you aren't.
Nah.
You're throwing shade, you're
Yeah.
hating. And that's just, she brings up, uh uh turnoffs as a player, people trying to collect
Hmm.
autographs. It's like this is a turnoff for fans,
Yeah.
listening to the constant hate. It's like
Hmm.
just be appreciative of everybody around you. Like,
Yeah.
it's if somebody deserves criticism, then give it. But I,
Hmm.
what has Caitlin Clark done to you?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I saw that. I felt the same way. I always liked their game, Kelsey Plum, when she was with the Aces. But it sort of turned me off. But I did see something today, and like I say, it's something I just need to look up a little bit more, get a bit more info. And like I say, what I might say right now, ESPN might cancel me, might never invite me into their
ooh,
show, but I'm okay saying it. Um,
uh-huh.
so Ramona Shelburne today sort of went on and sort of discussed this piece, and sort of gave a little bit of clarity, which if that's the case, I understand where the comment came from and how it's a bit different, but From what she said, it was a joke because prior to this, a lot of people, I think it was on Caitlin Clark's team, they were like, there was this group that was like live streaming that they were going out partying, enjoying the weekend, and then there was this team meeting which reportedly was happening at 8:30 in the morning. First of all, who's going to a team meeting at 8:30 in the morning the day of the All-Star game? I'm not waking up that
Hmm.
early, no matter how sober or drunk. But it sounds from what Ramona Shelburne is saying is like it sounds like a lot of them were still just a little drunk, so that's why that team didn't show up. But it's still not a comment you should make, without the context behind it, and Ramona's like, for those non people, the people that aren't watching the WNBA, they don't understand it because they didn't know about these other girls live streaming that they were partying, enjoying the All-Star weekend. And I was like, okay, I get that. But then she goes on saying, that everybody's taking all these comments so sensitive, it's a joke. They're not really throwing shade at Caitlin Clark. But then it like clicks in my head of that's BS to me because a few years ago and like I said, we follow Barstool when PMT got their show on ESPN because of some of the comments that they said that Dave Portnoy would say Barstool will say that were jokes and not really pretty much almost in the same concept of this. They got canceled because everybody was having an uproar. And I'm like, that's just so it just bothers me a bit because it's like, no, this is you guys were doing this to other companies, and because this is WNBA, you support them. We all support the WNBA. Don't be protecting them for making dumb, idiotic comments that are gonna hurt them now. Don't be trying to make excuses that it was just an honest joke. It wasn't towards Caitlin Clark when most likely it is. And it's just, and like I say, if they hear it, I may never go on to ESPN. You might have to go without me, Tim. But it's like it's the truth for me. It's like someone else does it to you guys, and you guys are all offended. But now it's a league you guys are supporting and females, and you're just saying it's a joke when it's like just live with the repercussions of what you say.
Yeah, no, it definitely comes off very hypocritical. And yeah, it's just it's like you can give as much explanation to this topic as you
Hmm.
can, but because of all like the precursors leading up to
Hmm.
this point, it, it's only going to be seen one way.
Yeah.
Context or not,
Hmm.
it's like you're still throwing shade. It's like
Yeah.
you just want to find every little thing to get at
Hmm.
Caitlin. And I think it's just becoming so obvious. And
Yeah.
which is just, it's such a ridiculous fact that
Hmm.
they're doing this when she's literally changed the entire landscape of the
She
league.
has.
And for them to attack that sole source
Yeah.
is crazy. And I feel like that's why Sabrina kind of stepped in and was like,
Hmm.
didn't need to be said. She handled it kind of more professionally.
Hmm.
It just, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I just feel like Kelsey Plum does a lot of talking, and
Yeah.
she's not even. She's a good player. But
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. Her Euro step, that was a travel too. That was four.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And did you watch the gameplay?
Some
Like some of
highlights.
the highlights, like they were just shooting crazy shots, which I was like, people spent money for this and you aren't making it competitive. I'm like, this is the NBA. I'm like, you
Right.
guys are providing bad material for people that are spending a lot of money, So
Hmm.
it's crazy. The Caitlin Clark hate, I it just needs to stop. And like I say, nothing against any of these other players. I don't know if you've heard um like stuff with Angel Reese. And like I said, we've bashed Angel Reese, and I think we've done it for the game, not her social media, her character, things like that. It's just her basketball game. And a lot
Hmm.
of people are saying, and there's a few people in reports I've read saying that she's going to be like one of the highest paid players. I'm like, she will make a lot of money. outside of the NBA because she is marketable. She
Hmm.
is liked. But game wise, she's not making her money in the NBA. She's not gonna get max contracts because eventually her game's not gonna transition in a few years. It's not gonna be beneficial. Um, but her marketing, her PR, everything else she does outside, she's gonna be one of the top paying, female athletes in the next few years because of that name she's created, her social media, that presence, but not because of basketball.
Exactly. You know, and hopefully this is stepping stones for future, I guess, women's professional
Hmm.
basketball, operations.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. The money's made off the court. I think Caitlin Clark is, to use her as the other example, is making
Hmm.
what, 80K a year on the court. Off
Hmm.
the court, I think she's eclipsing 3 to 5 million, something like that.
Hmm.
3 to 5 million with
No.
her shoe deals, all of the other stuff.
Hmm.
It could be drastically more than that for all I know. But I think that's just something I read.
Hmm.
But again, same thing goes for Angel Reese. Between her podcast,
Hmm.
she went to the Met Gala.
Hmm.
All
Doing it.
these
Yeah.
endorsements. Great for her, and
Hmm.
I think that she'll find continued success after the
Yeah.
WNBA. But the main thing that these ladies are doing is playing basketball, and that's
Hmm.
what the criticism's going to be. And if the product's not good,
Hmm.
then here we are. We're going to continue to talk about and criticize
Hmm.
events that happened during there. Kelsey Plum's,
Yeah.
kind of attitude. We're going to talk about, them hacking up a bunch of 3 pointers that were
Yeah.
way off. Um, and then another thing too, I don't know if you saw, but one of the ladies who was at the All-Star tournament said um, Diplo was boring with his DJ
Oh
set.
yeah. Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that.
shots fired.
Yeah. They wanted more more rhythm or something. Like
Something like that. More hip
yeah,
hop.
more hip hop or something.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was, but yeah, I heard she didn't like Diplo and I'm like if you don't know who Diplo is, of course you're not gonna like and if you don't like that kind of music, if you don't like EDM, you're not gonna like any EDM artist, no matter how much that you try to. Like
Right.
it's just the genre, So I thought it was hilarious. It's like that's who the WNBA got to play, for your guys' event. So enjoy it because, being in front of a guy like Diplo, it's not easy. I read somewhere top 10 DJs to pay to go into concert. Number one was Calvin Harris. You have to pay 1 million to have him perform. Diplo was like
Yes.
number eight, and I think he was like around 300 to 400K.
Wow.
I'm like, that's a lot for him to show up. That means he has good music, he has good stuff,
Yeah.
So appreciate that greatness in that music scene in the EDM scene.
That's crazy. It's a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
A lot
Calvin
of
Harris,
money.
that's why you don't see Calvin Harris much. I don't know who could pay $1 million to have him go perform.
Yeah, certainly not Vegas anymore. I mean,
No. Uh,
Vegas is, man,
yeah.
we had that take a long time ago too,
Yeah. Yeah, and
and it's still playing out.
they're still playing out as not doing too well.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
thought that was shots fired
mhm,
at Diplo. Diplo has good stuff. He's a great DJ.
yeah.
Uh, Major Lazer,
Hmm.
is his alter ego,
His
right?
alter
So,
ego. Yep.
great music.
Yeah.
He's had it for a long time. Follow him on socials. He's fun to
Hmm.
watch. Um, but yeah, overall, speaking of All-Star games, it's just
Another one
I
that
don't
needs to
know. Is
get
this
fixed.
another one that needs to get fixed? They need to figure something out.
Yeah.
It's kind of just in the same boat as other All-Star games. People are losing interest. And this was kind of an event that I thought like the WNBA was gonna really kind of skyrocket a bit
Hmm.
here and kind of take off of this event because there's more eyes, it could be, good, but
Yeah.
that's why I say it's more criticisms coming out of this event than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. And then a quick follow-up question and just sort of throwing
Mhm.
some banter. Caitlin Clark, think she was really injured or she sat out for a reason to show that without her playing,
Hmm.
there aren't going to be the same amount of views as they were probably projecting.
Imagine the timing. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say she was actually injured. Re-aggravated groin injury is what it
Hmm.
was, right? And the only reason I say that is because of her reaction she had on the court, and she, I think, was crying when she got re-injured.
Yeah.
but the amount of pettiness that would be associated with that
Mhm.
would be pretty crazy because um it would kind of, I mean, it's kind of point proven.
Mhm.
She didn't have to coach. Imagine if
No.
she just didn't coach.
Yeah.
Then you're just going out and watching Sabrina
Yeah.
and Angel Reese,
Mm-hmm. Ajo Wilson, Brianna Stewart.
Angel
Like
Wilson.
it's like she didn't have to coach. What if she wouldn't have shown up? What would have happened? What would the
Yeah,
views look like? What would the attendance be?
for
That
sure.
I don't think she did it, but I'm just curious if because she hears everything. You can't deny that she isn't hearing all these rumblings, all these people talking about her, how she isn't the greatest, people putting her down. So it's like, why not just be like, I'm just not gonna show up. Let's see what you guys do without me.
For sure. In from her standpoint, the no news is good news kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like, she doesn't seemingly really rebuttal any of these
Yeah.
remarks. She kind of
She
lets
just
it
yeah,
slide by. And her
yeah,
best thing is like what you mentioned. Like, imagine she's takes it to a level of petty
yeah,
as a response and was like, yeah, I just won't do it.
yeah. Just not gonna show
Interjoin.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Load
call it a day.
management. Load management.
Load management, second year in,
Yeah.
just get it started.
Yeah.
But it's literally that's I mean that that is why the WNBA is so marketable is her.
Hmm.
So it's like, you have this huge crowd showing out for it.
Hmm.
It's who they want to see, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't Sabrina won the 3-point
Yeah,
contest,
she
right?
did.
Okay.
She had a good round. I think she hit like
Oh wow,
30
that's great.
points. So
And see,
yeah.
she's a lot of fun too. I think that she's a hell of a player. Also,
Hmm.
there's really good players like
Hmm.
involved in the game, but it's just you have that X factor. It makes all the difference of the world.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. The one day we stop talking about Caitlin Clark so much, it's gonna be when Juju Watkins enters the league. If she comes
yeah,
back from this injury well, which I think she will.
you're exactly right. Yeah, no, she's the next talent that is going to be a ton of fun to watch.
Hmm.
Um, And then, let's see where Paige Beckers goes. I
Hmm.
think that she's off to a hell of a start
Yeah,
also.
she is.
No surprise there. Um, longevity is going to be a big thing for her because then she have
Hmm.
two like crazy bad
Yeah.
injuries in
Knee
college. So
injuries, yeah.
yeah, you just got to hope that, she has the longevity factor to continue on and,
Yeah.
have a great career. But yeah, at least there is some big names in there, but
Hmm.
just none more marketable than Caitlin Clark or
Yeah,
Angel
yeah.
Reese at the moment.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, that's WNBA. Like I say, it was All-Star Weekend, so let us know what you guys thought. Did you guys enjoy it? What could be changed to make it better? Um, and next we'll go to a little either or segment. So Tim started it last week. I have a few for you, Tim, to sort of throw out here that I came up with. Um, I'll only do two. I'll save these other ones for another day. But
Okay.
first one, it's movie related, and I'm just curious because I think this will be a hard one for you. Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler?
Oh, oh man. Yeah, that's a good one, John. It's a really good one. Touche, getting back at me. Um, I guess I'll go through my train of thought here
Hmm.
instead of awkward silence. Way to go, Tim. Will Ferrell, he obviously things like Talladega Nights, Step Brothers. He had a great SNL career. He's
Hmm.
continued on with, plenty of movies like Get Hard. It's stupid comedy, but I still find it funny. Both of
Hmm.
these guys are stupid comedy. Um, Kicking and Screaming, I even enjoyed.
Yeah.
I still reference. He's just unbelievably quotable. I find Will Ferrell to be more quotable than any other actor I've ever watched. I can't tell you how many times I've told somebody randomly, just go give me a lap. Go take a lap.
Huh? Pick up that piece of trash, Tom. Tuck in your shirt. What are you doing? Have a sense of pride, huh? In fact, why don't you take a lap? Go run a lap! I'm timing you. Pick it up! faster! Here we go.
And then just it takes me back to that movie and just watching the
Yeah.
parent take a lap, and I just think it's
Yeah.
hilarious, and just the way he comes off. Um, it's just it's so good. And
Mhm.
then Adam Sandler, on the other hand, it's just, you see him as producer Adam Sandler, you see him as, star actor Adam Sandler. He's had
Mhm.
such a wide range of roles. He's obviously gotten more into dramas over the last few years. Um, continue on with comedy though. Happy Gilmore 2, stoked
Mhm.
for that one. That one comes out pretty
This
soon,
week.
right?
This
This
week,
week.
25th, I think Friday.
Oh, I'm so excited for that one.
Netflix. Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be a definite watch. And just everybody, how loyal he is to his friend group and pairing up with all of them. Those grown-up movies. Big Daddy's an all-timer for me.
Mhm.
Um, we've talked about Click on this show, where it was a lot more sad than expectations of the trailer.
Mhm.
Um, but thinking about all of these combined, I don't think anybody beats Will Ferrell for me. I just think Will Ferrell, um, just even from movies he's not starring in, like
Mhm.
Wedding Crashers,
Yeah.
just his small amount of time that he was in that film
Yeah.
is just downright iconic to me.
Mhm.
Him crashing funerals instead. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so wild. Um, and then just this past weekend I did it. I was playing video games with Richie and Fidel were playing Call
Yeah.
of Duty, and I was like, "Mom, meatloaf." I just said it randomly, but it's just he's so quotable, and
Yeah.
his movies are just. I feel like they fill the top of my list. So, gonna go Will Ferrell with this. Absolutely love and adore Adam
Mhm.
Sandler. Love who he is on a personal level too. I don't know him, but like
Mhm.
him wearing whatever the hell he wants, shorts with a Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah.
man, badass. Just
Yeah.
he's got swag galore. But yeah, I'll go Will Ferrell for this one. Who do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I go Will Ferrell, love Adam Sandler. Both have amazing movie careers, great movies, quotable movies. Both of them have been on TV too. Saturday Night Live, both of them
Hmm.
got their starts there. Great skits that they've had. Um, I think movie wise, Will Ferrell just does everything and anything, even if it's the smallest roles, even if he's not credited, just to get those laughs, and that's what I love about him. Adam Sandler doesn't do too many of those small roles, but the movies he does, I think they're all pretty much great. Even the dumb movies that people hate, I'm a fan of. So, um, it would be Will Ferrell because I remember him in like Austin Powers, that movie,
Oh yeah.
where he's like one of the spies.
Hmm.
Um, Night of the Roxbury, that's a classic one that I
Oh,
enjoy.
so good. Yeah, I saw a
You
clip
know,
of that the other day.
yeah. There's just so much, he's in The Ladies Man, like all these movies with like past SNL actors, he's in it too, just supporting old school. You're my
Old
boy
school.
Blue.
Ah! You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy.
Stripping.
Yes.
Shrieking.
Yeah.
So good.
Like I said, there's so many good ones, and like I said, there's a lot of people that hate him, but I enjoy all his movies. I can watch him a long times. I think I watched The Other Guys a few days ago, just because that one's also a
Oh,
classic.
that's another one. That's another one, man. Christina, you say her name, get it right.
Yeah,
See, it's just everything he's involved with. I know that's not his line, but it's
yeah,
like,
it's his
God,
movie.
he's yeah, get his gat.
Yeah,
Oh man. They
yeah,
need to make an Other Guys too. I'd probably watch that.
yeah.
Um, I don't care what like the ratings he gets on his films.
Mhm.
It's just the stupid comedy that's just right up my alley that I just love and adore.
Yeah,
It's the best. It's the best.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good. But yeah, that was one. The second one, this isn't people, but this is more something different. Cavs 2016 championship win over the Warriors. So that's a 73 win Warriors, or
Mhm.
the Mavericks 2011 win, where they won with just Dirk as a superstar against Kobe, the OKC core, and then the big three in Miami.
Yeah, I'll go Mavs.
Yeah.
Taking down in here's the reason why. Obviously the 73 win Warriors wanted to capitalize on that season.
Yeah.
They're up 3-1, come
Hmm.
back. That sucked. It's brutal to watch as a Warriors fan. But I just think having a guy like LeBron go to Miami, make this big deal
Hmm.
about going to Miami, teaming up with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade,
Hmm.
and then to make it through, everybody that they did, and then capitalize and
Hmm.
take home the championship in the way that they did. I just think that is it's tough. It's hard for
Hmm.
me to say that's like a better run, but in my opinion, it just like they went through OKC, a great KD and Russell Westbrook, and wasn't Harden still there at the
Harden
time?
was still
It's
there.
like that was such a badass team right
Hmm.
there too. And then the next season, didn't OKC go to the finals
Hmm.
against the Heat? So it's like,
Yeah.
you're playing a championship level team to
Yeah.
get there. So I think that Mavs run in the way that they did it, I'll take
Hmm.
that one. Just because it's like you're taking down what a lot of people hated, which was the start of the big three
Hmm.
type teams.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna defeat it's like David versus Goliath. It's
Hmm.
you're taking them down. Don't want to take away from what that Cleveland run was back in
Yeah.
2016 because that was absolutely incredible. But I just give the slight edge to Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm the same. Like that Cleveland run, amazing. That iconic block from LeBron James on Iggy,
Yeah.
like memorable. you know, um, he said it, that championship is what made his legacy as a GOAT. I still don't think he's a GOAT, but it did make his legacy, bringing a
Hmm.
championship to Cleveland. But the Dirk run for me was just better because he didn't have an all-star team. He didn't have those support systems. In Cleveland, it was LeBron. He had Kyrie. I think he had Kevin Love too.
Yeah.
He had his other supporting roles. I don't know if J.R. Smith was there. I can't remember that
Mm.
team fully, other than the stars. You know,
So Jonas Augauskas, was he still there? I don't know.
I don't know if he was still there,
He's probably
but
not there
but
anymore.
but but like I say, Kevin Love, Kyrie, they were all in their prime still. Where Dirk had Jason Kidd, who was getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
Who else? Barrera, the one of the
JJ
shorter,
Barea.
JJ Barea. Um, who's their center? Uh, dang, I'm blanking, but it's like they didn't have their star players. Caron Butler, I think, was injured that year, and he was one of their star players. Like he went on this run, Dirk did. He got through Kobe and the Lakers. That was Phil Jackson's last year, so that's where the Lakers were supposed to win it for Phil, have him go out on top, just the way the Bulls did for him. Um, then he got through OKC, the team that probably, if they would have made the finals, I think they could have won the next year if they would have gone to the back to finals, because they would have learned from what they experienced once, and then beating Miami. Like I said, the big three. Everybody wanted to see him go down, and I think when Dirk was sick for one of his game, and the Heat making fun of him, he came back with a vengeance and just destroyed them. So I,
Yep.
I think that Mavs run was just a little bit more sweeter. Nothing against the Cavs run. I think they made history winning Cleveland the championship, but Dallas, a better run for me.
Yeah. And some notable names here from that Dallas roster was JJ Barea, Corey Brewer, Caron Butler, Tyson Chandler,
Tyson
Brendan
Chandler.
Haywood, Jason Kidd, Sean Marion,
Hmm.
one of the greatest 3-point forms of all time.
Yeah.
Steve Novak, Peja, an old Peja,
Hmm.
and then Jason Terry.
Hmm.
Definitely worth notice,
Yeah.
noticing.
Yeah.
And then I guess we could go to let's do 2016 Cavs to kind of recap that roster a
Uh,
little bit more. But regardless, that roster, although good, it's just stacking up against what the Heat were. I
yeah.
mean, it's such an incredible difference.
Hmm.
Let's see. Yeah. So LeBron, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, Richard Jefferson,
Hmm.
um, Joe Harris. God, Joe Harris. I didn't know he was playing still at that time. Channing Frye was decent back in the day. Mo Williams. It's
Hmm.
a flashback. Tristan Thompson was good
Hmm.
at that time. J.R. Smith. Um, a guy who robbed the NBA, Timothy Mozgov. Um, Anderson Varejao, he's a fun
Yeah.
one from Brazil. He
Yeah.
spent some time with the Dubs. He was good back in the day.
Yeah.
But again, more tools. I feel like with that run,
Hmm.
Matthew
Yeah.
Dellavedova, he was great during that
Yeah.
run. Um, yeah, it just feels like just having Kyrie and how great Kevin Love was during that
Hmm.
time is all the
Yeah.
difference right there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
James Jones was good. Richard Jefferson, I mean, yeah, late in his career, but he was still
Hmm.
a force. And I
He's
remember actually being really annoyed with him
yeah.
during that finals.
I feel like after that he still played like 10 years. I feel like that guy I every now and then I feel like this guy's still playing in the league probably. He was one of
Yeah,
those guys.
played forever. Yeah, whenever I think of Richard Jefferson, I just always think back to New Jersey Nets. Obviously, they're now Brooklyn, but if you go back to the New Jersey Nets, that's like Jason Kidd territory. Like it's a
Yeah.
long time ago. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
but overall, like I say, I saw something about the Heat, and then I was trying to think like who was a better championship run because that was a good run they had against the Warriors because like I say, 73 win Warriors probably should have won it all, but they did it. But what other runs were good? And the one that came up was Dallas, just because Nowitzki did it by himself.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Tougher road too.
Yeah.
It was good.
But yeah, so
Props to Dallas.
that's a little either or. Came up with a few things. Have a few other things, but I'll save it for another day. Because like I said, this is good for every show a little bit.
Absolutely.
Man, it makes
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
think a bit.
Got a lot of people thinking last week.
Hmm.
That was a good one.
Yeah, yeah. And next we'll do a little. So you can say this is sort of a little viral clip we're trying to do. Have a little fun, but we're gonna name our top 10 NFL teams because it was a comment brought up that you know, this one team was in the top 10. So we went through what we felt was our top 10. And we're gonna go. And before we get started, I think we'll go over the honorable mentions. One of them was the Rams, greatest show on turf, and one with McAvey.
Mhm.
McVay, did well. They won it recently. That team, I think, was a dominant team. Matthew Stafford, Todd
Mhm.
Gurley. Gurley was on that team, right?
Yeah. Cooper
Yeah.
Cup was amazing.
Cooper Cup, Aaron Donald, that defense, Jalen Ramsey,
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. too. I think he got
Odell was
injured
there.
like a
Got
halftime,
injured.
you know,
Yep.
but so won him a championship. So that was one honorable mention. Another one, the Colts, the Manning eras. You know,
Hmm.
anything Peyton Manning touch has to be mentioned. In possibly this top 10 or very close to it. Won one Super Bowl with them, and then next the Bills. Bills back in the day, four appearances to the Super Bowl, but couldn't capitalize. But what they did during that time, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just, to go, wasn't it 4 times in a row,
Yeah,
if I'm
four
not
times in a
mistaken?
row and lost four. Jim
You
Kelly, right?
know,
Quarterback that
yeah,
lost it.
with Jim Kelly,
Yeah.
incredible run. Definitely worth mentioning. And then, they're also good to mention because Josh Allen might bring
Hmm.
him back to the promised land again.
Yeah.
MVP this past season. I think he's incredible. He's now married. Maybe it's all the
Hmm.
difference,
It could make a difference.
Could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, good honorary mentions. And I will start us off here. We're gonna count down from 10 to 1.
Yeah.
And we'll just do a little rotation. This is a
Oh.
love it. Love it. We're on the clock. Um, So yeah, number 10, we decided on going with Philly. So two recent Super Bowl wins. This team is obviously historic. They've had incredible wins. Going back to the Andy Reid days with Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick had a
Hmm.
time there that he was great. But with what they've been able to do, winning that first one against obviously Brady,
Hmm.
Nick Foles stepping up and just going off, and that was such a fun Super Bowl win. That was an incredible game. And then
Hmm.
obviously last year with pure and utter dominance,
Hmm.
uh, beating the crap out of the Chiefs, both ends of the ball.
Yeah.
It was a sight to see, and very well could be on, having on the verge of another great season
Hmm.
ahead. So,
Yeah.
number 10, we started with Philly.
Yeah. In one note with Philly for me too, they beat some of the best quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. You
Hmm.
know, they beat Tom Brady, destroyed Tom Brady, you could say,
Hmm.
embarrassed him, and then destroyed and embarrassed Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people think is the
Hmm.
GOAT. We could go on another conversation about that. So
Yeah.
that's why they're up there. They beat some of the greatest teams, on turf to win Super Bowls.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and taking down the dynasty that was the Pats,
Hmm.
that's important.
Yeah. All right. Go with our next pick. Number 9, we have Seattle Seahawks. They had a dominant run. Their defense, the Legion of Boom, some of the most dangerous defensive teams we saw for quite a bit. Made multiple Super Bowls, won one Super Bowl, but a team that you never wanted to see in the playoffs. And we sort of talked about it too. Pete Carroll taking Russell Wilson, one of the shorter quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. I think a lot of people didn't think Russell Wilson was going to be successful in the NFL due to his size. So a team like that winning it's amazing, and that's why they're on the list at number 9.
Yeah, as a Niners fan, I despise Seattle and what they were doing with the Legion of Boom. But damn, was that a good defense?
Hmm.
Man, yeah, it
It
was a good
was.
run. Would have been two Super Bowl wins if they would have just ran the damn ball.
Yep.
But good number 9 definitely
Yeah.
makes the list.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll go.
so love that chime. So good.
Hmm.
Moving on to number 8. Got the Baltimore Ravens. Two Super Bowl wins, dominant defenses.
Hmm.
Speak of Legion of Boom. This is another one right there. Ray Lewis, Ed
Hmm.
Reed, two names just worth mentioning right off the bat. Terrell Suggs,
Hmm.
arguably one of the best football names of all time. Terrell
Yeah.
Suggs, like he's gonna hit the shit out of you. It just kind of goes and offense is obviously a little bit better now than it was
Hmm.
in the past in Super Bowls, in those victories. At least in the first one,
Hmm.
defense carried the way. Second one, Flacco obviously incredible.
Yeah.
Fortunately, did it in the hardball bowl against my Niners.
Hmm.
Tried turning off the lights. I'll always reference that. Didn't work though, but it was a great team.
Yeah.
Baltimore has always been competitive.
Hmm.
I just feel like that they're always mentioned. And then now, you guys, and I say you guys because John's obviously a big
Hmm.
Baltimore Ravens fan. Lamar Jackson's incredible. He's fun to watch. Hell of a team over there. A lot of good assets around him. So I think Baltimore Super Bowl run is still there. Derrick Henry is obviously
Hmm.
incredible. So it's just continued, and just
Hmm.
the amount of success to go
Yeah.
along with those two Super Bowl wins is
Hmm.
great.
Yeah. Very consistent making the playoffs. I think they take like a year off every now and then, but always in there. So Baltimore, great defense. Tony Siragusa, Haloti Ngata, some
Oh
of the
yeah,
players you can't even get through. So yeah, that's a good number 8.
Goose.
Yeah. Next at number 7, we have the New York Giants. And the big reason I think we have the Giants in the top 10, Eli Manning winning 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. So for a total of 4 Super Bowls for the Giants, but the 2 they won against Brady, they just like Philly, they beat that's the dynasty. They beat the GOAT. and one of them, they beat Tom Brady's undefeated Patriot team, who were going for history to match the Miami Dolphins. If you can't appreciate that as a football fan, you're just a hater, you know. I appreciate it about the Giants. I give him his prop, Eli. That he's a funny guy now. I see a lot of that. But back then, I think we all made fun of him. But kudos to him. Kudos to these Giants, and that's why they're number 7.
Yeah, that was such a fun team to watch. That helmet catch by David Tyree,
Yeah.
it's just, we'll live in forever eternity.
Yeah.
Great team.
Yep.
Moving right along, we got the Green Bay Packers. 1-1 with Brett Favre, another one with Aaron Rodgers, storied franchise. Obviously, the Super Bowl trophy named after their first coach,
Hmm.
Lombardi. And, it's they're always relevant,
Hmm.
even when they have slightly down years. We're always talking Packer football. They've owned the Bears for many, many years. And, just obviously just can't seemingly ever have a subpar quarterback there. They just always try to find somebody. Hopefully, Jordan Love can kind of pull it together after his big contract. I'm sure
Hmm.
he can. But Packers definitely worth mentioning, that historical franchise here on this list.
Yeah. Yeah. Favre beat the Patriots before Tom Brady, so
Oh,
Patriots, showing a little bit there. And then Rodgers beating the Steelers. That's a team that you have to give props to beating the Steelers.
oh yeah.
So great teams to beat. And we'll go on to our next pick at number 5. We have the Denver Broncos. We have the John Elway era when John Elway played. Dominant football player. Broncos were always there. I think everybody was a Broncos fan because of John Elway when they were in the Super Bowl. And then in 2015, Peyton Manning made a run with them as well. One of the most dominant, teams to win a Super Bowl. Made it easy, and like I say, that gave two for Peyton Manning too, being able to take two teams to the championship.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was such a dominant run. That defense was absolutely incredible. And yeah, shout out John Elway. Always made me want to have that Vortex football. Made it feel like I could throw it a million miles as well. So
Hmm.
number 4, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 Super Bowls in total, 4 Super Bowls in the late 70s, and then 2 modern era. Obviously, very historical franchise, been absolutely incredible. The modern era of the Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben and, just all the success that they've had. They've been dominant on the defensive end
Hmm.
as of late. Offense has struggled at times, but back in the day, the offense was just dominant, just as dominant as what the defense was. But, it's not a top 10 list, NFL list without mentioning the Pittsburgh Steelers. Historical franchise have had so many, iconic names go through
Hmm.
that roster. So, somebody that's always involved, late in
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah. All right. Next at number 3, we have the San Francisco 49ers. So San Francisco, 5 Super Bowls. They won it with Joe Montana, Steve Young, some of the greatest quarterbacks in history. We've talked about Montana, a little bit of winning 4 with 0 interceptions and all his Super Bowl wins. So, and some of the greatest show on football, show on turf. I think they created the West Coast offense sort of started with the 49ers. So
Mhm.
really, modernizing the game and just showing something new that nobody knew, and now everybody uses it. So trendsetters right there with the San Francisco 49ers, 5 Super Bowls and their players.
Absolutely. Shout out my Niners, Montana, incredible. Steve Young, incredible. Jerry Rice,
Hmm.
incredible. So many iconic names. T.O. had so many glorious years with us. Um, now we're an appearance type team.
Hmm.
Obviously, last 3 we shown up, we haven't capitalized, but it'll happen. It'll
I don't
happen
know.
again. But we're always involved. Shout
Yeah.
out 49ers.
Yes.
Moving up to the number 2 spot, we have the New England Patriots. Tom Brady era dominance, in it of itself is dominance. Dude is absolutely incredible. 6 Super Bowls in total, right? With the
Hmm.
Pats. One later on with Tampa, kind of proved that he could do it without Belichick,
Hmm.
which is, kind of kind of eliminated that talk of who's more valuable.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, can't deny it. Really their only kryptonite throughout all those years was Eli Manning.
Yes.
Outside of that, nobody could stop them.
Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah. They could have had a lot more if it wasn't for Eli and then the Eagles just with some of their crafty plays.
Yep.
Uh but yeah, you can't deny the Patriots' dominance and why they're one of the best teams, in the league. And then number one, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but this is going to be a team that it might be a little hard for us to say, but we're going to say it. It's Tom Brady because he is everybody's daddy. He just dominated the league. So Tom Brady is better than a lot of these teams ever because what he's done just overall, you have to call him daddy.
He literally daddied the whole league,
Yeah.
his entire run. So can't deny that. Absolutely incredible. Shout out Tom TB12, the
TB12.
TB12s. He did it with Belichick. He did it
Hmm.
without it. Late round draft pick proved it all.
Hmm.
Um, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
There it is. And most of all with this list, if we left anybody out, please let us know what
Hmm.
your thoughts are. These lists. It's the time of year we do lists. So,
Yes.
but we always value, any opinions on things
Hmm.
here. And again, just honorary mentions. So if your team did not make this top 10 list, honorary mentions, we had a few, and just to recap those: Bills, those 4 appearances, Colts, Manning era, Rams, greatest show on turf.
Hmm.
So, kind of making it there on the cusp. Fun
Yes.
list to do.
It is.
You just can't deny Tom Brady.
You can't. You can't. You got to admit it. And if you can't admit it, you're not a true true football fan of the sport.
That's right. He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Yep.
But yeah, but that's our show today. We want to thank everybody listening. As always, like I said, we're building something here with Banter on the Rocks. We're having fun recording, talking sports, having good laughs, unfiltered jokes, takes, and we just like messing with some of you guys as well. It's a fun experience, fun times to do it. Join the crew, subscribe, hit that follow button, and drop your comments with your banter takes. Let us know what you think of our takes. And let's engage.
That's right. We're Banter on the Rocks. We're going to banter, have a good time doing it. We love all the feedback, good, bad, neutral. It's what we're here for. We're having so much fun doing this week in and week out. It's constant thoughts on our mind. So we'll continue to push out the content to you guys, and we
Yes.
appreciate everybody stopping by, listening, and enjoying it with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys. Enjoy the week, and we'll see you guys later.
Peace.